Chapter 53. Continuation from previous chapter. Rimuru Pav. Now, as for the answer to your question, I started, addressing Veldora. I'll answer your questions, but it will take some time for the explanation, so let's take a seat, I said to Veldora and gestured to Seal. She understood what I needed and created 3 chairs and a table with a few snacks on it. As she created the table and chairs, we took our seats. Veldora and I sat facing each other, while Seal took a seat beside me. I will tell you, but first, tell me how much you know about existence, I asked Veldora. It's necessary to gauge his understanding beforehand because if he lacks knowledge about existence, he will struggle to comprehend the majority of the information I'm about to share. Well, from our experiences, and from what I had heard from you and Big Bro Veldanova, I know this much, that this is not the only world. The world is far bigger than what we think. It is separated into 3 parts, and 2 parts are inside one part, which is the void, and it is infinite. One part is known as Tensura world, which is created by Big Bro Veldanova, and it is separated from the void. The other part, the second part, is called the fiction world, which is created by the void itself. This world is also separated by the void and the Tensura world. And no one from either world can travel to another world except you and Seal. Even if these worlds are big and infinite, they are still only a fraction of the void, Veldora told me what he knows. I must say I am a little disappointed because from our experience, he should be aware of it a little more. I guess I'll tell him a little more, and also, even if he knows that, I still need to tell him the other things that beside me and Seal, no one knows. Well, you have a good understanding, but still, there are a lot more things than this. But well, I guess I should tell you, I said while taking a sip of my tea, which Seal just made for me. You see, in the vast expanse of the void, there exist infinite layers, each with its own unique existence. Similarly, the fiction world mirrors this structure, it also has infinite layers, and each layer has its own existence, its own world. Some worlds from the fiction world have their own voids. Additionally, there are multiple layers inside Tensura, and each layer has intricate and complex web of infinite realities. Each reality has its alternate reality. Each and every reality is different from the others, whether it's the main reality or an alternate reality. Still, there are some similarities between them. However, there are some realities that are completely different from others. All these combined realities of one layer make one true reality, and all the combined realities of every layer make one primitive reality. On the other hand, in the fiction world, things go a little differently because there are some worlds that have only one reality, while there are some worlds that have several realities. There are also some worlds that have several true realities and some worlds that have several primitive realities. Moreover, there are worlds that have multiple individuals stronger than Veldanova, or as strong as Veldanova in his prime, or should I say his original true state aka Tier 0 characters. And all of this combined makes one existence, which resides in one layer of the void, and there are several layers like this. However, despite the intricate complexity of these worlds, they are nothing but a fraction of the whole, just fictional, as they are merely products of imagination. These worlds exist, the void is just a manifestation of the creative minds of real individuals, the authors. While these creators may seem insignificant and pathetic in comparison to their creations, with no power at all, yet the inhabitants of the fictional world are powerless in front of those people. However, there are some individuals in the fictional world who possess the power to influence the real world to some degree. The combination of the real and fictional worlds forms what is known as the Oblivion. However, this is not the end, as there is much more to explore beyond the realms of the fictional and real world, and even beyond Oblivion. This uncharted territory and the ultimate truth, the prime state, is known as the Shunyata. The Shunyata represents a true and prime state where the concept of existence takes on a whole new dimension. Here, nothing exists, and yet everything exists simultaneously. It is a realm where the very essence of being, known as Shunyata, transcends all boundaries, such as real and fictional worlds. Such things are nothing more than the tip of the iceberg. In this prime state, nothing else matters because everything is Shunyata, there is nothing besides it. Shunyata stands as a fundamental and authentic concept, encapsulating the ultimate truth of existence. Within the vast expanse of the Shunyata, infinite oblivions exist, each with its own distinct characteristics and intricacies. These oblivions are diverse and unique, with not a single similarity between them. And, I was continuing my explanation of the ultimate truth, but Veldora abruptly stopped me. Stop, no more, I can't comprehend with this much. It's too much. he abruptly said, interrupting my explanation. What a guy. I was about to start the main part. What happened? Why are you telling me to stop? Didn't you ask me to tell you? I asked him calmly. It's too much for me. I didn't ask for this. Just tell me about the creation part, he said while sitting down. Fine, but if I didn't tell you all of that, you wouldn't even understand what I'm about to explain now. Because at least this much information is necessary for you to grasp the concept of my creation. And this is only the beginning, there's a whole lot more to it. This is just a drop in the sea, I said, taking more sips of tea. I don't want to know more about it. For such a great and majestic being as myself, these kinds of trivial things don't matter, as they won't do any good for me. So just tell me about your creation, and that's all, he said, crossing his arms. How can he grasp what I'm about to explain if he lacks even a basic understanding of Shunyata? It's essential to have some knowledge of its fundamentals. However, it's an entirely different thing that I'm not going to explain to him in detail. If I decided to explain Shunyata, or even just one oblivion, it would require billions, if not trillions, of years. The complexity and intricacy surpass everyone's comprehension. In all of Shunyata, only Seal and I can comprehend it. They are far more complex and intricate than you think. Compared to a single oblivion, let alone the Shunyata, the explanation of the real and fictional worlds down to every single detail would feel like a simple math question, like 2 plus 2. Well, for the time being, this much information will be enough. But there is still a lot more, and he won't be able to comprehend it, so there's no point in telling him. Fine, I'll just tell you about my creation. Do you remember the time when I went somewhere after we came back from our adventure from another worlds? I asked him, finally getting to the part that he wants to know. Yeah, our adventure, that was so fun. We went to so many worlds and had so much fun there, it was thrilling. That is one of the best memories of mine. You still remember how we caused destruction to those worlds and how we killed those people? I can still hear their cries of agony. We at least destroyed a few million worlds, no more than a few million. I think it is almost a billion worlds. And here he goes, completely forgetting about our main topic of conversation and starting his own ranting. Seriously, this guy is hopeless. Note, do you want me to create a new story about Rimuru's adventures in other worlds? If yes, then please let me know in the comments. Hey, old man, you're getting off track, I said while giving him a slap on the back. But I can't deny it, that adventure was wonderful, and their cries of pain and anguish were also great. Killing all those foolish and arrogant people was also fun. I think we should do it again after all this stuff is finished, I said, taking my seat. Yeah, we definitely should. And yes, I remember as we returned from our adventure, you just went on your own and didn't return for some time, he said, finally giving me the right answer. Well, that was the time, when I went to Shunyata. There, I created my own world, my own creation. I did that for fun, just to cure my boredom, to find something that could entertain me, I said, starting the explanation. There, I separated a part of Shunyata from everything else, such as oblivion or other entities. I created a special layer that isolates my creation from other things. No one can break that layer nor can they travel past it except me and Seal. First, I created a vast world comparable to an oblivion and brought life to it. I observed that world until it reached its end on its own. However, that was a failed project because it wasn't able to entertain me for long. It was entertaining at the start, but eventually, it became boring. So, I created another world, and this pattern continued. I created world after world, each different from the other, but in the end, not a single world was able to entertain me. Each world entertained me for a while, but once again, it became boring, and eventually, it met its end by my own hands. This perpetual cycle of creation and destruction continued as I sought to find amusement within my creations, however none of them met my expectations. So, after countless repetitions of this process, I grew too bored. It was then that I decided to take a different approach. With that thought, I created 2 wills, or more precisely, 2 entities, and gave them unimaginable power, power surpassing all comprehension. These beings possess enough abilities and power that they can completely create, alter, destroy, and control all the oblivions in the Shunyata. These 2 beings are the highest and most superior beings in all of Shunyata, wielding authority over everything within their domain. After creating them, I let them create what they wanted. I gave that isolated place to them and decided to observe them, their activities, and their creations. I finally told him about my creation. Interesting, that was very interesting. It sounds so fun. So, what are their names? Are they aware of your existence? Did you contact with them? Can they become stronger than they are? And with that, Veldora started his barrage of questions. I gave them names by my own name. I bestowed upon them my first name, Rimuru. And as for your second question, no, they are not aware of my existence, or rather, I didn't let them know about me. I answered his first two questions. What? Why? He continued. Well, the main reason is because of my past experiences. I let my initial creation know about me, and they started to worship me and became obsessed with me. Instead of focusing on the world's development, they just focused on me, and in the end, it became boring. So, I decided not to let my future creations know about my existence. I told him, explaining my reason for not letting my creation know about me. Well, that is a valid point. If they can't make it interesting and fun, then what's the point in creating them? Veldora gave his unnecessary sagely reply. Well, as for your other questions, no, I don't have any contact with them. If I did, they would become aware of my existence. Also, I can observe them, so there's no need to make contact with them. And as for your last question, yes, they can become strong or weak, but it entirely depends on them. I gave them unimaginable power, power to trifle the fictional and real world, power beyond anyone's comprehension. They can create, destroy, alter, and control the real world, the fictional world, even oblivions. So, I don't think they will pursue more power. I answered all of his questions. But still, I don't get it. You are still here, so how are you observing them? And if the shunyata is beyond everything and it is a true and prime state, then does it mean that you are also bound by it? Does it mean that you are also a part of it? He once again asked new questions. But I must say, these questions are valid. Well, yes, it is true that shunyata is beyond everything and it is a true and prime state. But that is not all, because there are a lot more things, and it is too complex for you to understand. And no, I am not bound by anything. I am the highest and absolute, there is nothing above me. I am the ruler of everything, the king of everything. A mere shunyata cannot bind me, it is the opposite of that. Shunyata is just a fraction of my existence. You can say it is more like a figment of my imagination or a mere thought. In fact, I can manipulate shunyata as I see fit. I can make this shunyata into nothingness, and believe it or not, I have already done that, I told him, revealing a little extent of my power. I don't get most of the parts, but I understand that you are the strongest and above everything. But still, how are you observing them from here? If I remember correctly, you mentioned sealing your powers, so does that mean your current form is merely an avatar of your true self? Is your true self observing your creation? He asked me the same question as before while giving me a thoughtful pose. He is a lot more curious about it than I thought. Well, to answer your question, yes, this is an avatar of my true body, or to be more precise, a clone of mine with the lowest of my power. And as for your other question, no, it's not an avatar of my true self, but rather a clone of my true body. The consciousness inside is mine, and there is no other avatar or double of mine. I am all one and only being in all. Complete and full. It's just that I am using a clone of mine because my true body is too strong for this world to bear. If I brought my true body here, it would get obliterated, and that's why I am using this clone. I answered his first question. As for observing them, it is very simple. I am the supreme entity, above everything. I know everything inside shunyata or even what lies beyond it. I know everything, whether it is past, present, or future, whether it has happened, is happening, or will happen. I know everything that has existed, didn't exist, and will exist. It has already happened for me. All action is my doing, everything is known by me. So, observing them is nothing because I am already aware of what they are doing. And with that, I answered all of his questions. I see, it makes sense now. But if you know everything and are still continuing your journey here, then doesn't it mean you already know everything that will happen in the future? Doesn't that make it boring? Just as I thought his questions were over, he once again asked me another question. This will be the last one. I won't answer any more of his questions. I need to go and see how things are going. There, I can sense that the battle is already nearing its end. I should finish this soon. Veldora, this will be the last question. No more than this, understood? I said to him, feeling bored with answering his questions. Fine, he gave in. Well, here's the simple answer. There is no future here for me to know. I gave him the answer in the most straightforward way I could. Future what? And here we go again. For a moment, I forgot that he is an idiot. What I mean is, I have erased the concept of the future from only this reality. There is no future for this reality, only past and present. We create our own future. And if there is no future, if there's nothing ahead to foresee, then I won't know anything because nothing exists there in the first place. That's how I am able to enjoy this, I explained to him in the simplest way possible. I still don't fully understand, but it sounds illogical to me, he said, his voice filled with doubt. Is this old man doubting me? Those trivial things don't apply to me. I can do whatever I want. I wanted to do that, and I did. That's all. Don't doubt me, you old man. HMPH, I retorted. How dare this old man doubt me, his own brother? HMPH, I am not doubting you or anything, it's just that it sounded so illogical. Just forget it. On the other hand, if we can create our own future, then let's create a future where we can do. And here he goes, starting with his usual antics. Interesting future, huh, things are becoming a little boring lately. We should spice things up a little. Yeah, we definitely should. He, I exactly know what to do. Hey, old man, wanna cause some chaos in the world? To be continued.